Yo guys, this is the brand new DJI OM5 and I swear Maddie Hapoya stole my intro, but this is the best part about this new gimbal from DJI. So yeah, I guess selfie sticks are kinda back. Okay, so now I personally don't really use gimbals, and that's mostly because I'm a photographer, so they're not really that necessary. And the times that I do film video on my smartphone when I'm traveling or on my Canon camera, I find that the in-body stabilization is usually more than enough. So I was pretty skeptical when I first got DJI's newest product, the OM5. I was like, hey, am I really gonna make use of this? If you guys follow me on Instagram, you know that when I travel, I like to vlog. And usually what I'll do is that I'll actually just take my iPhone, put it on the 0.5 lens and turn it towards me, and I'll just walk around and talk and vlog as I travel. And usually I find that that's pretty good. That's enough for me. The only issue is that, well, your arm is only so long. So this is sort of the field of view that I'm stuck with when I'm vlogging. So I was actually really excited to test the new selfie stick portion of the DJI OM5 when I got it, because I'm really excited to see what new vlogging opportunities that can really open up for a lot of mobile creators. So today we're actually gonna bring the OM5 with us on this hiking trail, and I'm gonna kind of show you guys what I would use it for in like a real world example, what it would look like if I actually brought this along on one of my trips. And currently I have the iPhone 12 Pro Max mounted on this, and I'm using the selfie camera so that I can kind of see what's going on the screen as I talk to you guys. But immediately the first thing that I noticed is that the type of shots that I'm getting right now as I'm talking to you guys is really similar to what I would get on my phone if I was just holding it out and sort of vlogging like I already do. So right away, the benefits aren't really evident of the OM5. But I bet if I pull out the selfie stick, then the environment is gonna completely change. So let's go ahead and do that. So as I pull out the selfie stick, then I recenter myself. Wow, check it out. So the field of view got way bigger. This is actually way more immersive than I expected. You guys can actually see the entire environment around me, all the trees and all that stuff, how big the hiking trail is. And this is really good for drawing in your audience as to where you are and really showing the environment around you, because I think that's the toughest part of vlogging with an iPhone without any kind of stick or anything. Like the range of motion, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, is really limited. So this stick is actually sweet. You can see so much of where I am. And if I actually even stick it up into some trees over here, you'll notice that you can get some pretty cool, interesting angles. Okay, maybe not that cool, but this is just to kind of show off how large the range of motion is with the stick. And yeah, you can actually see way more, and that is really dope for vlogging. And I think this feature is going to really interest a lot of people, because this is pretty cool. I didn't expect this. Okay, so besides from adding the selfie stick, the other new feature that DJI has packed into the OM5 is ActiveTrack 4.0, and that's the same tracking technology that they have in the Air 2S, and I have extensively tested that out on my drone. There's another YouTube video on my channel regarding ActiveTrack 4.0 and how well it works, and I'll link that up here somewhere below. But I'm really excited to test it on the OM5, and it's pretty simple. So based on the DJI tutorials and stuff that I've looked at, all you do is you have to tap the trigger on the back of the phone. So I'm gonna do that right now. And yeah, there you go. It tracks my face right away, and it knows that I'm the subject and I'm the one talking. And let's see how well it does if I start moving around the frame pretty frantically. And for the most part, it does a pretty good job. So you guys saw that it lost me over there for a second. Let's try that again. So I'm gonna tap the trigger, and so I'm the subject once again. So it does really well side to side. And keep in mind, these are some exaggerated movements. Like I'm moving around the gimbal really, really fast. And yeah, there you go. It loses me, but there you go. It picks me back up. So it seems to do really, really well side to side. It was the downwards motion where it lost me initially. So I moved it down and it still has me. But you'll notice it kind of loses me again. And now the ActiveTrack is turned off. So it looks like it struggles a little bit with the up and down motions. Yeah, there you go. You see that? So when I move it back upwards, it loses me. But here, let me turn it back on. But if I move it side to side, this is pretty good. Not bad. It recaptures me pretty easily when I move it side to side. And that's really good. So it looks like it does pretty well. I wouldn't say it's the same ActiveTrack 4.0 or the same level of quality that you find in the Air 2S, because that thing locks onto you like really, really well. But this is pretty good for vlogging and stuff, and if you're not moving around the camera too frantically, this is pretty good. And again, keep in mind I'm using the selfie camera, so there's probably less data to work with there, but this is pretty good. This is doing a pretty good job of keeping me in frame as I move it to the side and sort of behind me. Oh, there you go. It loses me, but will it recapture me? No, not that time. So I'm gonna reactivate it, tapping the trigger, and yeah, I'm on my way again. So yeah, definitely not bad. Usable for sure, but yeah, that's the new ActiveTrack 4.0. I won't sugarcoat or anything. You guys saw it live in use, in action, me using the selfie camera. I think we'll do one more test because I want to see if the front-facing camera does a better job with the tracking. But I did bring my Air 2S, so maybe we'll use that as a subject. So why don't I go out and we'll set up the drone right now and get it going. Okay, so a bit of an awkward moment. I realized in order to fly my drone, I need my phone, and my phone is what's mounted to the OM5. So we're obviously not going to be tracking my drone. I just set up my camera in a tripod position, which I'll show you guys in a quick second. That's what I'm going to be kind of running around and trying to do the tracking on. But this does bring me to the first flaw of the OM5, and I just realized this while testing because I kind of wanted to flip between the front facing and the selfie camera. It's not letting me do that once I'm actually recording. So once I started recording, I can't flip between the cameras. So I actually have to pause the recording and then flip the camera. So just something to keep in mind as the first kind of downside of the OM5. So let me just pause this and I'll flip it around. Okay, so this is my Canon camera and I just have it set up on a tripod here. I don't have any tracking features turned on or anything right now. So there are two ways to activate ActiveTrack 4.0. You can drag your finger along the screen selecting the subject, just as how you would on a DJI drone, or you can use the trigger. So I'm actually gonna try and use the trigger to see if the gimbal is smart enough to figure out that this is the subject that I wanna track. So I'm gonna tap the trigger and yeah, check it out. So it selected the camera and I'm just gonna walk around it, and I'm walking pretty fast, and for the most part it does a pretty good job of keeping up. So it has the camera in focus and it's tracking it, and yeah, it's doing like a pretty good job for the most part. And whenever it loses it, it looks like it tries to research for it. So in this case it didn't find the camera again, but I'm sure if I tap on the trigger, yeah, so it has the subject selected for most of the time. Okay, so there it was. You guys saw it in action, ActiveTrack 4.0. It's not bad. Definitely usable. You just gotta know what to expect. It's definitely not the same thing as the DJI Air 2S. Now, there's one more con on the OM5 that I want to talk about, and it's a pretty windy day outside today. But honestly, I don't understand why they didn't add this into the gimbal. Most gimbals have this now, and that's the ability to flip around the camera. So basically, if I wanted my front-facing camera to face me, there's no real way of doing that. So there's no button or anything that I can press for that to happen. And I basically have to turn it around and hold it with the opposite grip if I want the front-facing camera to face me. So that's, I think, a huge missed opportunity by DJI. I think they could have included this in this gimbal, and it really would have helped. It would have been a really good feature. Currently, you are able to switch from portrait to landscape
just by tapping the switch button, and I think that's obviously very useful and really good. But I do think that DJI needs to add this one last feature, which will put the OM5 or the OM6 or whatever really above any phone gimbal that's out there. Like, undisputedly, it would be the best phone gimbal out there. I still personally think it is, but I think this is a really big missed opportunity, and I think that it would have been really cool if you were able to flip around your camera. Okay, so before I wrap this up and my final thoughts on the OM5, there's two more things that I want to touch upon that I think are pretty critical about the OM5, and they're both software related. So the first one is that, especially for iPhone users who don't have this natively built in to their cameras, the OM5 unlocks the ability for you to use manual camera control. So you can basically tap on the screen and you're able to control your shutter speed and your ISO. And I think that's so valuable and a really, really good feature that DJI has added, especially for iOS users, because we don't have that built into our phones. And I think it's really critical, especially for mobile creators who might not have like an actual camera yet and are still learning the basics of photography and videography. I think it's a great way for them to learn and understand what the mechanics of exposure are. So good on you, DJI. That's a really good plus. Manual camera controls with the OM5. Okay, so there's one more effect that comes with the OM5 that we need to talk about, and I don't exactly know what it's called. I think it's called Glamour Effect. Don't quote me on that, but basically it lets you change the way your face looks. So this is personally not something that I would use, but if you're into this sort of thing, it is there. So here, I'll show you guys. You basically tap on the screen and you turn it on, and you're able to adjust a bunch of things. So I can make my face slimmer, I can increase the smoothness of my skin, I think I can lighten my skin, can even enlarge my eyes, which is kind of crazy, and then I can finally brighten my skin. So this is with like a bunch of filters on right now. This is what I would look like, and this is completely all in the OM5 interface. So let's quickly take a look at what I look like with this on and with this off. And yeah, that is totally crazy. Yeah, so this is not something that I would use, but if you're interested in this kind of face tuning software, it comes with the OM5. So totally depends on what you're looking for. So here are my final thoughts on the OM5. If you don't have a smartphone gimbal and you're a mobile creator, I think you should definitely pick this up. I think this is sweet for vlogging. If you're only into photography, then it might not be worth it for you. But if you do a lot of vlogs and a lot of video, I think this is a pretty sweet tool. And this is something that I could see myself using, and I think it's very simple to use, and it integrates into most workflows really, really easily. So I think it's a sweet tool that you guys can definitely pick up. If you already have the OM4, I personally think the selfie stick alone is worth upgrading for. This range of motion and all this around you that you can show, I think is sweet and it's totally worth it. So yeah, those are my final thoughts on the DJI OM5. I think it's a pretty sweet tool. As always, if you guys learned something in this video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I gotta run. Until then, keep creating.